Hello everyone, this is Eli Ganim with E.G. Jules Lapidary. Did you ever cut a cab and after you finished polishing you find this dull surface right on top of it? Well, you're not the only one. We all did it before. But do you know why? Well, in this video I will show you why and how to eliminate this problem. Also, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to our channel. It's free and it's the easiest way to get you notified firsthand with our new tutorial that's coming up. Meanwhile, I thank you for joining us today and please consider hitting the like button below this video. Thanks again for watching. What I'm doing here, I scribe with the highlighter, with the Sharpie, two parallel lines along the length and two lines along the width. And the reason to do that is just to divide the stone into segments that I can concentrate on when I work. Later on you don't need to do that. Once you get the hang of it, you don't need that. I'm doing this just to show you. Also, as you could see here, the center square down here, it's very important because most people, they actually forget to grind the center. They concentrate on the edges to round them off and they forget completely the center. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to blank it up with black, and all this is going to go away once I grind them, just to show you that what I mean by that. And the problem with that is when you grind the outside and you leave the center, even though it looks nice and shiny, you actually didn't grind anything. Or you might grind it on the 600 and you forget to do it on the 220, and what happened by doing that is you're not going to eliminate the marks of the saw. When the saw trimmed or cut that slab, you're leaving these marks here. And if you don't go, again, like with every step of the grinding, you'll have a problem, and you will see it when you start polishing the towards the end when you polish the stone. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the 220 grid and the 600 grid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate on this side here, and then on the other side, the top and the bottom. And when you start grinding, try to hold your stone from the top. This you'll have more control on it, and then hold it from the bottom. If you use it from the back here, what's going to happen is the grinding wheel will hold it and will grab it, and it might go down from it. So this way you'll have more control, you can turn it around. And one thing, as I said before, you have to make sure that you're going to take the whole surface of the wheel. Don't stay on one spot because you're ruining your diamond wheel. Right now, as I said, I'm using the 220. I don't need to use the 100 because it's too rough and I don't need it. Okay. With the same amount of cuts, I'm going to go and do the other side. At the same angle, didn't change my angle. All I'm doing is just rotating the stone. I'm going from one end to the other. Here I'm going from this edge to the other edge. So I'm going between these 3/4 or 3 marks on each segment here. Now I'm going to do the other side, but I'm going from this point to that point, keeping the same angle. And remember, the narrow area is going to grind a lot faster than the wider segment here. So be careful and keep an eye. So you got to look at what you did here. Every time you cut, it's better to look, because once you cut it, you can't bring it back. Now I'm going to go back and do the top from here again. Now I'm going to go into the bottom one. And remember, the bottom one, we already have the 10-degree angle that we did on the picture. And we don't want to grind it off. So we're not going to go all the way to the bottom, which we already did it with the 220 anyway. So we're going to cut just a little bit above that edge. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we're going to go in and start blending the top. As you notice, we didn't touch anything on the top yet. Yet it looks nice and shiny. So we're going to get to that. And that's the reason I marked up the center. So you could actually see where you cut it. Now when you look at it, make sure that everything is symmetrical from every direction, that it looks nice and it's even. You can see like we still didn't do anything on the center. Most people, they try to cut it to make it all round from this direction here and that direction. Sometimes you can't do that because of the thickness of the stone that you have. This is here a little bit thinner than what I normally use. Normally I'll cut them at about 1/4 inch to 5/16 in thickness, and that gives you a pretty nice stone that you can actually round it all around. Now on this particular one, I don't really need to round it off, and I could have a little bit of flat on the top. But in order to have that, you need to have a good transition between the angle here or the side into the center surface or the top surface. At this point here, I still didn't use the 220 to grind here. And most people at that point, they're going to go into the 600 right away. And that's where you're going to have a problem. Because if you're going to go into the 600 without touching this one with the 220, that's where you're going to end up with the scratches. And you're going to end up with, when you polish it, you're going to see these marks. So you don't need to do that. You need to go step by step, and you're going to cut it also with the 220. So this is what I'm going to do. And just watch me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from this point, I'm going to go all the way down toward the center and bypass the center. And then same thing from here. And that's where I'm going to go on every segment, as we marked before. So I'm going to go from here, here, there, the top, and every segment. This way I will not forget any surface. I will cover every surface of that stone. So you go from the top, go all the way down, and you can see I already touched the surface. Now you could see the low surface is still black, and the one that you're grinding, it's higher point. And if there's no black here, you won't see it. But as I said before, with the practice, you will know and you will be able to see what you're doing. Now what you could do, see a little bit marked here and there. I will go from the center up like this, or you could actually go from the center and rotate it like that, and at the same time you go up or you go downward. There you go. And remember, I'm not pushing hard at all right now. I could actually see a little bit of scratches right there, down at this point. I don't know if you can see it or not, but they're right there, and I gotta get rid of that first before I move into the next one. Now, once I do that here on the 220, by the time I go to the 600, now this surface is all level. And the only mark that I'm going to have is the groove that the 220 grid made on this surface that I have to remove with the 600 grid. Okay, now what I did is I formed the stone the way I want it using the 220. The whole shape is done. Right now I'm going to go to the 600, which just to remove the scratches, keeping the same shape and the same form. And the other thing is to blend. When I use the 600 now, I'm going to blend, have a nice transition between the top flat surface and the edges or the corners. Now I'll start all over again. Just now the lines are gone, but just think of it as an imaginary line. And you're going to do the same thing. We're going one side to the other, top and bottom, in the same way, using the same transition of angle. And the main important thing is now we don't forget the center. Remember that the black was left till the end until we completely remove it. You gotta do the same thing here. So just think of it that this black still exists and you still have to remove it. This way you gotta machine or grind the top surface using also the 600. Now this is only 600. So we did the 200, which we shaped the stone, and now we use the 600 just to eliminate the marks or the grinding marks from the 220 grid. From this point on, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the polishing segment, which is another 3 wheels that I have down here, diamond wheel, which is 1200, 8,000 and 14,000. And remember, polishing, it's not grinding. Repolishing is just not grinding. And if you find that you have a scratch somewhere, don't try to take it out on the 1200 wheel, because that's not going to work. You're going to be here, sitting here forever, and that's not going to work for you. See a lot of people that they sit down for hours just trying to finish one stone, and the reason for that is they didn't do it properly, and they think that the 1200 grid is gonna do the work for them and they're gonna remove all the scratches. It will not. And I know that people don't like to go back and start grinding from the 600 or from the 200 grid because, you know, it's too much work. Actually, it is not, because this here, if you're going to think that you can grind your stone on the 1200 or the 8000, you won't, and it's going to take you forever. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Now this is the 1200. Now we're going to go into the 8000. Make sure you get enough water, and we'll do the same thing. Everything is repeated. Achieve the 8000, that's done. And now I'm going to go into the 14,000. And as I said, 14,000. The 14,000 is basically commercial finish. Okay, and that's it. So this is the stone right now, and it is done up to the 14,000 grid, and from this on, next step is polishing. I use cerium oxide for this stone. Now you could use cerium oxide or tin oxide depending on what kind of stone that you use. The majority of the stones will be polished with the cerium oxide. Now one thing you want to do is, or you want to make sure that you'll have the base wet and the pad nice wet. This is just water. You spray it on. And the other thing I do, I like to always use a paper towel in my hand and you wet it. And the reason for doing that is I can clean my stone when I polish it so I can see what I did. And also I need to have that stone on the wet side because you don't want to put too much heat on it. Once I get it going, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of cerium oxide, just shake the bottle because it's powder. It is powder mixed with water. And just put a little bit, not too much, and that's good enough. When you start cutting, the rotation of the wheel is in this direction, and I want to be going in here because if I go from the other direction, what's going to happen is going to flip that stone out from the top, and I don't need to get it off. So first start with the edges, and here I'm cleaning all that off, just see what I'm doing, and then you go from there into the center. Again, when you polish, I've seen a lot of people holding it, the dog from the end. What's going to happen? This is what's going to happen. And if you're not aware of it, you're going to lose it. So try to hold it always from the bottom or where the stone is. This, again, you're going to have more control and you're going to get a better polish. Here one more time with water. And that's it. That's all it's going to take to polish it. This is actually the time it will take to finish a complete stone. So really, if you think about it, it didn't take that much. And the reason it didn't take that much time is because we went through every step. As I told you, we used the 100 grit to cut the outside and shape the profile that we need. We used the 220 to pre-shape the stone all around, which is doing the edges, cutting the sharp edge here, rounded the corner, and blending it with the top, and then do the polishing. So really, that's all it takes. And so we went 100, 220 to shape it, the 600 to remove the grinding lines of the 220, and from there we went to the 1200. In between, as a beginner, if you can use the Expendo wheel, use that to eliminate all the rough edges. If you don't, well, you gotta be very quick and make sure that there's no lines on the surface. Then you could move to the 1200, 8000, and 14,000. And as I said, these three wheels are all for finishing, but not for grinding. So you're not going to remove much. All you're doing is just polishing the surface. Once you finish from the 14,000, you can go in and use the polishing wheel, which the cerium oxide, and that will do it. If you like this video and you'd like to see more, please subscribe to my channel below. Don't forget to like and comment. Also, if you need to see the full version of how to cut a cabochon, just let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching and see you on the next tutorial video.